Okay, let's settle in, friends. Let's get comfortable where we are. Let's just arrive to not just so much the physical space where you have found yourself, but arrive to this moment. You've already lived a lot of moments today. There are still moments to come. But let's see if we can make this moment, this breath, the one that gets all of our attention, all of our energy, all of our focus. And as we begin to breathe out, we'll find ourselves moving into the next moment. And let's just take this practice truly one moment at a time. So as we've shown up collectively here together, and your eyes are gently closed and your body is comfortable, start to find a rhythm of breath that really honors what you need right now. We all come with different things, with different situations, with different concerns, different celebrations. So whatever all your stuff is, you breathe in a way that recognizes what you need. We've been spending a lot of time with this idea of purpose, looking at this concept of dharma and this honor, this duty of how we wake up each day, how we spend our time, where we give our energy and our focus and our attention. And so today, and in the coming days, I'd like to sit with the things that could potentially get in the way. So we show up to meditation, we practice, we read, we sit in the quiet, we observe things around us. And we get this clearer sense of what our dharma is, what our purpose is, our contribution to this world. And then we rise up from this physical or metaphorical cushion wherever you are, and we go about the activity of the day. We interact with the people in our world. And then all of a sudden, this clear image of our purpose starts to get interrupted. Things come across our path. Things come across our field of attention, and we are challenged. Can we sit with our dharma even amidst all the things that are coming at us? And so I want to give us some more tools for our tool belt, so that as our purpose becomes clearer, as you become a little more in tune with what it is, you will start to realize what an honor it is to live it. And when these things come across your path, you can't even imagine letting your attention go there, because you are so sure of your purpose. And I know that that sounds really nice on the surface, and in the reality is that things that come across our path sometimes are hard. They're hard. They hurt. But there's a concept that we are given, and I like to think of it as this tool in my tool belt, this concept that's called upekkha. I always describe myself as striving to live this very measured and even life. Scientists would say that I'm trying to live in this homeostasis. I want things to be right here in the middle, where things are not unbalanced, where things are not too hot or too cold. They are just right. And from the yogic tradition and these spiritual paths that we discover and we sit with, we have this concept of upekkha. And what upekkha means is that we live with equanimity. We are equanimous. There's this beautiful line in the Bhagavad Gita, this text that teaches us so much about yoga, that says that once you get to this place in your spiritual path, in your spiritual walk, you begin to see and feel hot and cold in the same way. Pain and pleasure in the same way. Praise and hostility in the same way. Because those things are part of this human condition, this experience that we have every day. There are things that are hot and things that are cold. There are things that are easy and things that are difficult. And when we live from this state of equanimity, those things don't impact our ability to stay focused on our purpose. Now, I will also tell you that we are human beings and we have this emotional layer of who we are. And sometimes those painful things, those hostile things, those prickly things, they begin to poke at the emotions. But the way that our body, our mind-body connection works is that as those emotions get pricked and your heart starts to beat a little faster, or your belly starts to feel a little uncomfortable, or your jaw starts to feel a little tight and tense, that's your sign. Go back to upekkha. Take a deep breath in and become even again. And when you do that again and again, the pleasure and the pain, they affect you the same way. Measured, even, peaceful. Now, that does not mean that we don't celebrate the wonderful moments of life. It also doesn't mean that we don't grieve and that we don't feel sorrow. It just means that we don't live there, even in the good side. Because the teachings tell us that all of these things are impermanent. They're not going to last forever. And if we hang on to the pleasure, or we hang on to the celebratory parts so tightly and we're attached to it, when it goes, our fall down to the other side is so hard. But if we can live in the middle, understanding that our contribution to this world is to wake up and realize that we get to contribute to the peace and the ease and the freedom of others just by our presence, by our exchange of energy coming in and going out. We also begin to understand our individual purpose. And we see these things so clearly that, again, we can't imagine letting the pain or the hostility or the hurtful pieces of the world distract us. And we have to be careful, because those things could also cause us to become numb or indifferent, and that's not who we're meant to be. We are meant to feel. We are meant to experience life. Recognize as these things come in, they impact us. But again, we don't live there. We live in the middle. Peace resides in this present moment, and so does this concept of upekkha, equanimity. It doesn't happen in the past, and it's not something that we're anticipating later on. It's now. I breathe in. I feel the evenness. I breathe out. I feel the evenness. My breath becomes my guidepost toward upekkha. So what I'd like for us to do is just sit for just this next moment and just think to ourselves, I'm seeking out this purpose, and for some of you, you may already have a really clear understanding of what it is, and others, we are still seeking. We're not waiting for some message in the sky. We're just being open to how our talents and our gifts and our passion can be used to contribute to the peace and the well-being of this world. But as we sit in meditation and these things become clearer, we're each going to have our different challenges. And so for this next few breaths, I would just encourage us to recognize what those are. see them and name them and know them. It doesn't mean that you're giving them your energy or giving them your attention. You're recognizing that they exist. And my trouble spots, those things that prick my emotions, are not going to be the same as yours. But the way for us to stay here in the present moment is to know what those things are, so that when they show up, they don't catch us by surprise. Because the hardest thing to staying here in the middle is having these surprises come in, and then the emotions go up and the emotions go down, and we have to struggle to get back to center. So for these next few breaths, just ask yourself, what do I know are my challenges to living out my purpose? What could potentially get in the way of me being this extension, this vessel of peace and compassion and evenness? What are my things? See them. Name them. And as you just make note of what those things are, and oftentimes those are easier for us to recognize than knowing what our purpose is. And that's okay. But by naming those things, they will be far less apt to take us by surprise. Far less apt to cause our emotions to go up or down. And so as you've recognized what your things are, and I recognize what mine are, just set them to the side. We understand what they are, and I'll just set them to the side. And take a slow, deep breath in. And a slow, full breath out. And a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. One more together. In. And out. And now let's sit with our purpose. If you have your idea of what yours individually is, see that. If right now you're still just thinking about this global purpose that we all have as a part of humanity, of just contributing to the peace and the well-being and the ease of others, sit with that. And notice if those things you've set to the side start to take space in your mind and in your thoughts. And again, just set them to the side. Breathe in and see the purpose. And breathe out and see the purpose. And find your way to the center, to the middle. Feel the evenness of being there as you continue to breathe. And as you continue to breathe, slow, steady, deep breaths, Continuing to see that purpose, whether it's the big global one of seeing your contribution to the peace and well-being of this world, or maybe it's seeing something more specific to you and your gifts and your talents. Whichever it is that you see that as we begin to close our time. People will be impatient with us, but we can't imagine turning our attention away from that purpose. Life will put challenges right in the middle of our path, and we can't imagine turning our attention away from that purpose. People will be hostile and unkind toward us, and we can't imagine turning our attention away from that purpose. Things will happen in your life that will cause you to doubt and maybe feel a little bit confused, but you can't imagine turning your attention away from that purpose. You'll begin to think that maybe you don't have the skills and you're not adequate to the challenge or to the duty that you've been given, but you can't imagine turning your attention away from this purpose. As you hold it here in this present moment and you see it, I would invite all of us just to say in our mind's eye, just in our thoughts, I can't imagine letting anything distract me from this. This is too important. There's something I have to offer this world that's necessary, and I can't imagine letting anything distract me from it. I oftentimes will hold up my hand and just put it right in the center by my heart, just with my palm flat at this idea of I live right here. Yes, I feel. Yes, I hurt. Yes, I celebrate. But I do all of that from here in the middle. My heart stays as the bridge. It offers me this refuge of staying measured, staying even, staying equanimous. And when I begin to understand that just a little more, I've got this tool of Upeka right there in the center of my tool belt. And when those challenges arise, I take a deep breath in and I pull out that tool and I remember that I can't imagine letting anything distract me from this purpose. As we close out our time, my wish for each of us is to live in the middle, this sweet spot of evenness, of equanimity, where the hot and the cold feel the same, where the pleasure and the pain are the same, where the praise and the hostility affect us the same, because we live in the middle. Namaste.